My name is Kimberly. I'm the author of the Amazon best-selling Stolen series on international human trafficking. Just yesterday I got a Facebook message from an old high school friend who told me, I've started a book, I haven't finished a book, can you give me some tips because I don't know anything about publishing? And I kept thinking, I keep meeting people like that who they've either started a book and not finished it, or they finished a book and they don't know what to do next, or they're thinking about writing a book and they have no idea what's the whole process like, what's going on. And since I had to start from the beginning and work my way to the top and spend a couple years doing research, if I can compress it down into 5 or 10 minutes for you, it sure sounds like a lot easier. So, if you've written a book, if you're working on writing a book, if you're starting to write a book and you want to know what do I need to know to get that book out there to the people, maybe I can help. You may want to get a pencil and a piece of paper and write things down along the way, and you'll be ahead of the game before you even get started. The first thing you need to know, or you need to write down and think through, is the category of your book.
Category.
Is your book fiction or nonfiction? It's real simple. Fiction is if you made the story up yourself. Nonfiction is if you didn't. Fiction is usually novels. Nonfiction is usually help books, autobiographies, things that you're writing about yourself and what you've learned. So that's the first thing you need on the top of your list, is what your category is. The next thing you need to think through is what genre is your book, or is your book going to be? If it is fiction, you're going to need to decide, is it going to be a suspense novel? Is it a romance novel? Is it a mystery novel? If it's nonfiction, you also have different genres and different within that category, such as self-help, autobiography, biography, theology, different things like that. And if you're confused as to what genre yours actually is, go to a bookstore and look around at the different topics they have over books, and those topics are generally going to represent the different kind of genres that are available. And if all else fails, go to the bookstore and talk to the bookstore person and say, hey, my book's about this, what genre is it? Once you know those two things, one of the most important things that you can think through before you get started in this whole publishing process is your audience. Who's going to be reading this book? Who do you want to be reading this book? And there are different options that you might be thinking. The first would be nobody. And don't laugh, there are some people out there who enjoy writing just for themselves. They like writing their own personal thoughts and feelings. They don't want anybody else to read them. If that's you, you can just skip the rest of this video because it's not going to help you. Enjoy your writing. The next one would be just family and friends. Maybe you're writing a little family history for a Christmas gift for everybody, or maybe you're writing something that nobody else would really care about. So your audience is going to be family and friends. You don't need to worry so much about big mainstream publishers. You just need to know how to get your book in print for 20 to 30 people, or however many you're going to give it to. The third option would be, well, a local area. Say you've written a little piece of local history or something else that people in a certain small specific group are going to be interested in. So again, you're not going to want something where you're going to have 5,000 copies. You're going to want something where you have a small amount. The next would be anybody who you can get to read it. And if that's the case, which is most people's, I want this book to be a bestseller, I want this book to go out there, then you're going to need to know the options in publishing. And if you're in that category, then we need to move forward. On to the publishers. You actually do have a decision to make when it comes to publishing your book. And there are pretty much 3 options when it comes to publishing. The first one is self-publishing. You do it yourself. The second one is subsidy publishing, where a publisher will print your book for you, but you're going to be paying them to do it. And maybe they will offer some marketing as well, but pretty much it's all on you. The third option would be mainstream publishing, and that's going through any of the publishers out there where they take your book, they sell it, and you get the royalty checks. Now, of course, pretty much everybody wants to go that route because you make the most money that way, but considering what you're writing and what it's for, you may need to think through those 3 options to figure out what's the best for you personally and which is going to be the most successful for you particularly and your book in the long run. So, thinking through that, if you are in the first category and you think, well, self-publishing is the route that I want to go, then I would highly recommend you looking at a company called CreateSpace. It's Amazon's division of self-publishing, very user-friendly. I am completely techno-illiterate and I figured out how to do it. I went ahead and actually did my Stolen series through CreateSpace because it was a very timely topic and I wanted to get it out right away. I decided to go ahead and self-publish it and see if I could make a success of it myself. The advantages to self-publishing are that you have more control. I got to decide what went on my cover. I got to decide everything that went inside. You also get to make changes along the way. About a year after my first book came out, when I was starting with the second one, I went back and read it and found all these things apparently I learned a few things about writing in the process. So I went back and did a whole edit and made a second edition, changed a lot of things, and I was able to change that without having to spend a whole lot of money. With self-publishing, if you start doing research about it, you will find tons and tons and tons of companies that are willing to publish your book if you pay them to do it. Most of them want several $1,000s up front, and you're going to end up with several hundred copies of your book. I don't recommend that. For one, again, if you find a typo 2 weeks down the road, you're stuck. For another, the average self-published book, sorry for the reality, but they only sell 150 copies total. You don't want to have 5,000 copies in your basement and be $5,000 in debt. I had a friend who kind of did that, and she said, I don't even feel like writing the second book because I'm never going to make up the money from the first one. That used to be the only option in publishing, was to spend thousands of dollars. Now with CreateSpace and other companies that do something called print on demand, your options are so much better. Because you can go in, and print on demand means you're going to pay the same cost per book, whether you order 10 books or whether you order 100 books. So I order my books 50 or 100 at a time as I go and speak and as they sell. And I'm not going thousands of dollars into debt, and I don't have hundreds of books growing mold in my basement depressing me because they aren't selling. That's all I'm going to tell you about that. As far as subsidy publishing is pretty much self-publishing plus a little bit extra. Basically, these people, I wouldn't really recommend subsidy publishing very much when it comes down to it, because a lot of times the reasons people want to get involved in it is they think, oh, they're going to help me market, they're going to help me get the word out, they're going to make this successful. And I haven't heard of anybody yet at this point that has gone that route that has been pleased with the result. So I would recommend going more the print on demand option, because again, you are the one in charge of things, you're the one in control of your own work, and you get to have more of a say in how the end result turns out. If you don't want to go the self-publishing route, you really want to go in the direction of mainstream publishing, then there's a lot more that we need to do. So we'll close out this one for now, and we'll do a part 2. So look for the part 2 to find out what do you do if you're hoping to get it mainstream published and get it out on the market.